Hey guys, I want to take a quick minute to talk to you about the upcoming knit along that our guild is taking part in. It's presented by the Knitting Guild of America, and the pattern is Pick Your Pattern Cardigan. You have the options of doing a lace or a cable. Then you can do a shorter sleeve, shorter length, longer sleeve, longer length, mix and match, whatever you want to do. But whenever you're doing a garment, it is imperative that you do a gauge swatch so that your item will fit you when you're finished. So let me kind of explain a little bit about gauge swatches. A lot of people think they're a pain in the neck. I like a pattern that doesn't require a gauge swatch, but that's just me being lazy. Let me explain the fundamentals of gauge swatches for you. This is the gauge swatch that I have done for this pattern. The pattern calls for a size 6 needle. I did this bottom section in the 6 needle and then checked my gauge, and it's too small. So mine, when I measured it, 1 inch gave me 6 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 when 1 inch. So if it told me, say I'm getting 10 stitches per inch, if I cast on 100 stitches, then theoretically my piece should be 10 inches, right? 10 stitches per inch, 100 stitches, 10 inches. However, let's say I'm knitting 12 stitches per inch. Okay, and it tells me, or 15 stitches per inch, and it tells me to cast on 100 stitches, well, it's going to be short. So it's counterintuitive. The more stitches in per inch, the smaller the piece is going to be. The fewer stitches per inch, the bigger the piece is going to be. Let me show you this. So if I were to cast on 12 stitches, so my piece now it measures 2 inches over 12 stitches, right? But now if I look at 12 stitches here, we're going to count the stitches instead of the, there we go. We're going to count the stitches instead of the inches. So let's see here. I'm going to do 12 stitches. Let's count them from here. 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 stitches. So my piece now measures, look at that, 2 3/4, I'm sorry, just about 2 1/4 inches. So a little bit more than that. So if I'm not getting gauge, then my piece is going to be too big or too small, because as you can see on this piece, 12 stitches is 2 inches. This one, 12 stitches is 2 1/4 inches. So a little bit more. So that's why it's imperative to check gauge, because when I'm casting on 100, 200 stitches for a garment, it's going to make a big difference. That little 1/4 to 1/2 inch is going to make your item too big or too small. So that's why gauge swatching is very, very important. When I check row gauge, I always place it at the start of, let's see if I can get this focus for you guys. Okay, so I always take it at the start of the first stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and a little bit extra on this one. So it's about 7 1/4. You can kind of see it's a little bit over. So therefore, when I multiply that by 4, that makes about 30 stitches. The row gauge on this one is 29 rows, 21 stitches and 29 rows, which is what the size 7 needle gave me. So even though the pattern says to use a 6, the 7 is the one that I'm going to use. One other thing I want to talk to you about is I want you to look at the back of your work and moderate your tension between knits and purls. This particular pattern uses reverse stockinette. Sorry, my dog. So if you're doing the cable version, you're going to see a lot of purl stitches, and you want to check and make sure that your tension between your knits and purls are similar. So I haven't knit stockinette in a while, and you can see on this one, see the gutters between this stitch and between this row here and this row here, and then there's not a gutter between these two rows. Well, that's because I haven't knit stockinette in a while, and I was kind of willy-nilly on it. So the way I knit is my knit stitches are bigger than my purl stitches. A lot of people, it's the other way around. Their purl stitches are bigger than knits, but that's the way I knit. So I find that to modify this, I play around with how I hold my needles and how I carry my yarn. And for the knit stitches, I tend to, sorry, grabbing my needles over here. They're all tangled up, my 6s and my 7s. The 6s are the blue ones, 7s are the green. So I find that when I knit at the very tip of the needle, and that gives me a smaller stitch. And when I purl down on the shaft, and that makes my purl stitch a little bit bigger. And so when I do that, it balances my stitches out. So you can see here in the upper section, I don't really have those gutters in the rows. It's nice and pretty, and no gaps and no weirdness happening. So anyway, that's about all I wanted to tell you guys. Thanks for your time.